Good afternoon and welcome to Devils in Red 59. My name is Steve and today we are discussing INEOS's strategic process of appointing a new manager. The names of the managers that currently remain on that list. Harry Maguire's deadline day today for the appeal against his misconduct charge. The transfer list as it currently stands, and Manchester United saying they may have to sell to buy. So we're going to start off with the managers, but before we do, I'd like everyone to smash a like on the video, subscribe, and obviously share it because it all helps get the numbers up, which is what we're trying to do. So we'll get straight into the manager process that Manchester United have been saying now for a number of months that they won't just automatically give Carrick the job. They will be interviewing other managers for the position, and it is going to be quite a stern process. Yet, we've seen no evidence of that yet, especially in this international break. You would have thought that various things would have been taking place in reference to approaches to potential managers. As it was reported a couple of days ago, De Zerbi is now off the list because he's been appointed as the Tottenham Hotspur new manager on a 5-year contract, so that's him out the way. The PSG manager looks like he's going to be signing a new contract at PSG the way it's being discussed, so that obviously puts him out the way. And as we know, Tuchel has signed a new contract or going to be signing a new contract with England, and Ancelotti is obviously going to be signing a new contract with Brazil. So when are INEOS going to start making approaches to any potential managers, and when they do, who are they? Because being reported today by Ben Jacobs, there's only Michael Carrick and Nagelsmann apparently on the list now. So it looks like that it's either going to be Nagelsmann or Michael Carrick. So, what's your thoughts on what we've been being told now for a good number of months that it was starting off with about 12 candidates on the list and they'd dwindle it down to maybe 4 and so forth. Well, all these targets that we've had apparently, I mean, they're signing up with other nations or signing up with the current clubs or going to other clubs. So obviously that's took them off the list, as we've just said a few minutes ago. So if we're only down to 2, it's not really saying a lot for a stern process on Ineos's part, is it? So it looks like it's either going to be Nagelsmann or Carrick, and as we've previously mentioned before, I think Carrick is going to get the job. I think Ineos know they're going to give him the job, and what they're feeding us over the last few weeks and months appears to be a load of spin and PR. Now, obviously, if Carrick does cement the Champions League in the top 4 or 5, it's going to be very hard for them not to say, well, we'll give it Michael because he's already in place and there's no additional costs to pay out. And I think that's where we're heading with this. And I think that a lot of the Manchester United fans are beginning to realise it, albeit, a lot of fans still do say we should be interviewing other managers and so forth. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, does it? Now, in reference to Harry Maguire, apparently when he was sent off red-carded in the Bournemouth game, it was said that apparently Michael Carrick said something to upset the fourth official, whether that was bad language or whatever, I don't know. But apparently he's been charged by the FA and he's got till sometime today to put his appeal in, or the club put an appeal in on his behalf, if they are actually going to appeal it. So, is that going to incur more of a ban? 2 or 3 games instead of 1 game, maybe. So obviously we'll have to wait and see whether Harry Maguire or Manchester United do actually put that appeal in today. I don't know what time it's got to be in for. I mean, usually they'll say by about 10 o'clock tonight or something from past recognition. Um, but I think it's stupid. I mean, there's other players in other teams been sent off that's been verbally abusive and so forth to officials and fourth officials, and nothing's really become of it. So, why is the FA making such a big issue out of it? Where Harry Maguire's concerned, I mean, obviously it does depend on what Harry said to the fourth official, admittedly. But in hindsight, I mean, players when they're on the field, I mean, they're well round up or wound up playing the game, and obviously they get red carded like that, so emotions are running high. And I mean, I can remember when I was playing football years ago. I mean, some of the things that were shouted at the referees when you got sent off and so forth would make people's hair curl today. And I mean, I know there has to be a line of professionalism this day and age because things have changed so much. But to me, it just seems like they're focusing on Manchester United, where other players in other teams, whether it be international or within our Premiership, have done things along the same lines and seem to have got away with it, and they've just faced their one ban or whatever for being red carded. So it does seem a bit extreme to me, but as I say, we don't know what it was Harry said, in all fairness, so we'll have to wait and until the point that comes out, or we see whether the appeal goes in, and then we may get more information on it. In reference to the transfers, again, we all know our main transfer focus is sure is going to be on the rebuild of the midfield, which is well overdue for at least the last couple of years, in my opinion. Um, Now, again, reported by Ben Jacobs today, he said that Elliot Anderson is Manchester United's still number one target. So he said nothing has really changed of of that since January. Elliot Anderson apparently has always been Manchester United's number one target. And as we've said before, there is strong interest from Manchester City. And it's believed whether Elliot Anderson makes the decision to go to the red side or the blue side remains to be seen. But, you know, you get news every day. 1 minute it doesn't look like Anderson's going to come, and Tonali's coming. Then the next day, Tonali don't want to come, and then the next day, it's something else and something else. And I think somebody's feeding us a load of crap, to be honest. I don't think until pretty much the season's over are we going to have a clearer idea as to whether we're going to approach Nottingham Forest and start a bidding war with Man City, or Man City's going to approach them and start a bidding war with Manchester United. I mean, there probably are going to be other suitors. It's interesting in Elliot Anderson as well. It ain't just going to be Premiership based, I don't think. I mean, obviously, if he has a good World Cup, it could encourage other countries and clubs to come in for him, like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and so forth. So, you know, it could be a bigger umbrella than what we think in reference to Elliot Anderson, and not just between the two Manchester United clubs. So again, it'll be interesting once that kicks off as to how many people are going to be involved in trying to get Elliot Anderson's signature. Um, it's pretty much ruled out that Tonali from Newcastle is likely to come to Manchester United, because we know Manchester United are not going to want to spend the reported figure of 100 million on him, and his wages are obviously going to be um, a lot more than the likes of Elliot Anderson as well. So it looks like Tonali, if he's not off the list, he's being pushed down it. Plus, there's the fact that's been reported that Manchester United are concerned about the betting scandal that he was involved in a couple of years ago, as to whether he's the right sort of calibre to bring him to Manchester United with that at the back of him. So again, we'll just have to see how far he goes down the list or whether he comes off it. But, Balaba's still there. Balaba's still quite high up the list, and I think it's a foregone conclusion unless something amazing happens. I think that we can sort of guarantee that Balaba will be coming to Manchester United next summer or this summer. It just depends on how much the fee's going to be for him and what can be negotiated. But as we all know, Balaba hasn't had a very good season with Brighton. And sometimes I ask myself, with the discussions that United had with Balaba last year and his agent, and the disappointment that Balaba's expressed over not being able to leave last summer, it does make you wonder whether this is something that's put in place so he doesn't play so well, to bring his price down, to put Brighton in a position where they say, well, we want to get rid of him now, as opposed to keep saying we want to hang on to him because we think there's a player there. And there doesn't appear to be anybody else that's interested in Balaba from around the globe. So, I would say that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Balaba will come to Manchester United. It's just a question of how much we pay for him. Personally, if he comes as a third option, or somebody that can, when Mainu comes off, maybe in a second half, he can come on and start to prove himself with a number of games he'll be likely to have to play. But personally, I wouldn't want to pay any more than about between 40 and maybe 50 million for Balaba with the way he's performed this season, whether it's deliberate or whether he has just had a general drop off in form. But Man United, they do seem as if they still want to bring him in regardless, from previous reports and previous journalists and so forth. And obviously, you can't write out Gomez from Wolverhampton Wanderers. We obviously know that Wolverhampton Wanderers are certainly going to be relegated down to the Championship, which will obviously affect Gomez's transfer fee. That will knock it down, and it's believed that when they go down, that Gomez's transfer fee could be as low as 30, maybe 35 million. Now, to me, I don't think that Gomez would be a bad purchase, because obviously them are the sort of figures that we know INEOS like to pay for players. They're not into these bigger what's it unless it's necessary. The 70, 80, 90 million upwards. And I don't think they are going to entertain prices like that. So I think Gomez, even though he's gone down a little bit on the list, I think as the summer fast approaches and the winter fast approaches, I think the likes of Gomez will start pushing back up the list because his price is going to be attractive to Manchester United. And personally, I think Gomez is a fairly good player, and I think he would suit Manchester United well and become a good squad player, personally. And then obviously you've still got people like Walton on the list, and Scott and so forth. But as I say, it changes on a daily basis. People on the list, off the list, and so forth. So I think we're going to be pushing maybe more the back end of April, the beginning of May, when somebody starts to really make a move and make it known to the fan bases from not just Manchester United, but from all clubs, who their clubs are going to be going for. So, again, it is stressful, it is annoying every day when you turn the news on and you hear something different to what was on the day before. But I just think, sometimes that's what the clubs are putting out to try and make the fans think that they're going for somebody, and they think, oh, we're going to have a brilliant summer. They're going for A, B, and C, and we might end up with D, E, and F. So it could be one of those seasons. It could be a good season where we do get A, B, and C. Let's hope it is. But again, another piece of information that's floating around is that INEOS are, or been heard to say, that we're going to have to sell in order to buy this season. Now, whether the rumours of Marcus Rashford maybe having to come back to Manchester United if they can't strike a deal with Barcelona for Rashford's services. But again, Ben Jacobs has reported today that everything on the player side and between the player and Barcelona, personal details have all been agreed. It's just down now to whether Manchester United and Barcelona can agree on the fee. Now, apparently, the obligation to buy, somebody reported that that ran out in March of this year, but Ben Jacobs has reported it today that that will the option to buy continue through to the end of the season. Now, apparently, the 30 million euros that was initially put on to Marcus Rashford, which I think is a steal. He's undervalued at 30 million for a player that when he's on his day can turn on and get you out the doo-doo and get you a goal. But it's been stated that the 30 million that's originally been put in place was set out in a way that Barcelona will only have to pay 10 million euros a year over 3 years. No, I mean, that's a fantastic deal because, I mean, I think there's a lot of clubs over there that say, well, we'd like to buy a player at 30 million and be able to pay 10 million a year over 3 years. So I don't think Barcelona have got anything to moan about with that type of deal. And I think Manchester United will stand firm on it, and they won't realistically let Barcelona bully him in by saying, well, if we can't get him at a cheaper price, we'll send him back to you, because it's widely known that Barcelona do want Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford only wants Barcelona. So whether it happens quicker or whether it happens later, I think that Barcelona at the end of it will have to put the 30 million on the table. As we've said, that is payable at 10 million a year over 3 years. So I think that they will agree with it, whether it be sooner or later, as we say. Let's hope it's sooner, and then we can draw a line in the sand and then concentrate who we're going to bring in as our left winger. Obviously, Diamonde at Leipzig, we know we've got a big interest in him. It's thought that his price is going to be quite high, but we have got a good relationship with Leipzig, having bought Sesko in from there. So, it's possible that we might be able to do a bit of a deal. But obviously, I believe that Manchester City might be interested in him as well as Liverpool, because there's rumours that their left winger may be looking to leave, and we know that Salah's looking to leave, and we know that Diamonde can play on the left and the right. So, Liverpool could be looming around him as well. So if Man City or Liverpool get him and we don't, where do we go then, Again, it's been reported today that Manchester United have got a liking for the Everton left winger, but apparently Everton are doing well. They're on the verge of getting some form of European football this season if things continue to go well for them. And it's been stated by Everton that they're not looking at selling. So, it possibly writes him off as well, albeit the concrete interest on him is not what it's been reported as being for Diamonde. So, Ugarte, is he going to go? He obviously wants to play a lot more first-team football. He wasn't getting a lot, realistically, under Amrin. He hasn't really been getting anything under Michael Carrick. So I think it's going to depend on who the manager is that comes into Manchester United. I mean, if Nagelsmann comes in and he says, well, I want to keep Ugarte, then I think it'll just be two players that come into the midfield, Ugarte and Mainu. But if Nagelsmann comes in and he doesn't want him, like Carrick doesn't seem to want him, then it's quite obvious the player's going to want more football, and if he doesn't ask for a transfer request, I think United will be looking at him and try and move him off the books and bring something in for him and clear his wages and so forth as well. And then obviously the Xerxes. Xerxes stated, that he did want to move, and there was interest for him in January from Roma, and Xerxes was reported as being interested in going to Roma in January to try and get more football, to try and get himself back into the World Cup thinking. But now that's not looking like it's going to happen. It's come out that Xerxes says he wants to stay and fight for his place at Manchester United. Now, would you realistically want to keep Xerxes? Do you think he can be a good squad player? And do you think that he's going to get sufficient game time? Or would it be better for him to be moved on and bring in somebody else that, he's going to be in the manager's thoughts more than what he is? And obviously get more game time with the number of games we're going to have to play. So again, that's something else we're going to have to wait on. In reference to any other players going out the club, there's no real other names that spring to mind at the moment, but we don't know what the summer's going to bring and what INEOS's vision is as to who they think with the new manager may need to be moved on. Again, Ben Jacobs has said, that Manchester United have been looking at left backs and they have looked at right backs as well. So, depending on what money comes in and if we're guaranteed that Champions League money, they might just look at some of our left-sided defenders and think, well, we'll move one on and bring one in, or they might look at it in the same respect for the right-hand side. Would they move Dalot on, or is he worth keeping as a good squad player? Would they maybe consider moving Mazraoui on, or keep him as well? I mean, personally, I think Mazraoui is a better right back than Dalot, albeit Dalot is a nice guy, I mean, he is a Man United fan through and through, and he does train hard, which I think also Mazraoui does as well. But obviously under Ten Hag, Mazraoui, I mean, he was having a lot more game time than Dalot under Ten Hag, and to be fair, I mean, he looked a good prospect for us at the time until he received that injury and he was out for a good number of weeks, and Ten Hag was then forced to replace him with Dalot. So obviously we've got to watch with interest as to whether there'll be any other names that INEOS and the new manager will be looking to move on other than the ones that we've potentially mentioned. Obviously, Rasmus, Ben Jacobs said today, that deal is done. It's just got to be signed up, which I believe will probably be the end of the season because, like with most clubs, I want to get to the end of their tax year, so it helps them out on the books, PSR and so forth. Obviously, we spoke about Xerxes and Ugarte as to whether they'll be going. And obviously, we've spoke about Marcus Rashford's situation with Barcelona. And, I think we have got to stand our ground with Barcelona because I think they are a side that will try it on because they know Manchester United don't want him back, and I think they will try everything to try and get him cheaper or even get that second season loan with the the guarantee to buy him at the end of that so they can spread it out even further. So I think we just got to stay strong on that. Also, one last thing that Ben Jacobs did report today is that there's been stories yesterday that Nana was going to come back to Manchester United and he wants to fight for his place. But, I think he was on £125, 125,000 a week when we didn't qualify for Europe, that his wages went down. But now we've qualified again and he is officially a Manchester United player. It's believed that his money now, if he comes back, would go up to £175,000 a week. But Ben Jacobs has said today that Onana appreciates that Manchester United don't want him back, as they don't see that there's going to be a place for him in the squad at all. And I think Onana's accepted that. It's just more of a question now of Manchester United trying to find a move for him. And Ben Jacobs said you can't write out him stopping in Turkey, because apparently there could be some interest for Onana there. And there is some other European countries apparently that have shown a possible interest in Onana as well within their organisations. So let's hope there's some truth in all that, and we can get him off the books as well sooner rather than later. But again, I think it was the something to do with Messi and Qatar and so forth. Apparently, there's interest over there for Onana. So, it's a place he can go if he decides to go, and probably get double the money he's getting at the moment. And if he's money orientated, then that's realistically the best place for him to go. So, again, let's just hope these type of players are moved on quickly, sooner rather than later. Now, I have mentioned on previous videos before that throughout the month of May, we are going to be running competitions on a weekly basis, whereby we'll put in a question out, and obviously whoever sends in the correct answer, or the first correct answer, will receive a T-shirt. Whoever the second person is that sends in the correct answer will receive a Devils in Red baseball cap, along with whoever gets the first one, they'll receive a Devils in Red T-shirt. So keep your eyes open for that. We will be asking the questions on every Friday throughout the month of May. The winners will be announced on the Sunday of the same week, and obviously then the T-shirts and the baseball cap will be sent out to those winners. So if you'd like to get in to win a baseball cap and a Devils in Red T-shirt on a week-to-week basis throughout May, then just keep your eyes and ears open for that one, starting from the first Friday in May will be the first one. Again, I'd just like to thank everybody for watching the videos, and we're trying to build a nice community here. So please smash a like. Smashing a like all helps with us. Get into the comments. Please subscribe, because obviously we want to get the numbers up, and share the video, because again, that all helps as well. So I'd just like to thank everybody. I hope you all have a decent Easter weekend. And being Easter weekend, obviously there's various things going on for me, and obviously for you as individuals, hopefully, whether you're going away for the weekend or you've got parties on or so forth. So obviously I'll look at doing a video again next Tuesday, because obviously with people being tied up with various things, like I don't think there's going to be a lot going on over the Easter weekend. So I'll speak to you all again on Tuesday. So please smash a like, get in the comments, hit the subscribe button, and share the video, and I'll speak to you next Tuesday. Thank you very much.